What's up, YouTube? It is your boy JB, and I'm here today with the review for The Haves and the Have-Nots. This is season 7, episode 14, titled Someone Special. So, you guys, without further ado, let's go ahead and just jump into this episode review, shall we? Alright, you guys, so this episode, it picked up where the last one left off. You guys remember, Hannah went over to the Criers' house, and the cops had someone that they thought was a person of interest, who was Derek. Now, I don't know why, just because he's black, they just assumed he broke into the house. If he broke into the house, excuse me, y'all. If he broke into the house, why is he still there? Incompetent. So Derek tells the cops that, he works for Jim Crier and that he's there because Jim asked him to board up the front door. So Hannah says to the cops that, she didn't say that he worked for the Criers, but she did say she doesn't know if Jim called him or not. But the cops come back and let him go because they have confirmed with Jim that it wasn't him. But I'm sorry, didn't y'all know that it was a white man that broke in anyway? He's a black man, but okay, again, incompetence, shall we? So then, Hannah and one of the cops, they're going through the house to see what is missing in the house. So, she notices that, some of Catherine's jewelry is gone as well as her car is gone. And, they ask her, well, do you know any information about her vehicle? She says no, but Jim should, and you guys might want to reach out to him to get that information. So then we see Candace and Benny. Benny. So we see them, and actually we see Candace. She calls Benny, and she's telling Benny that she needs Benny to come back to the crib to let her in because Hannah has left. And she doesn't want to be there when Hannah gets back. So then, he tells her, well, I'm actually going to meet up with Mitch real quick. She says, no, Benny, come here first, let me in, and then go meet up, have your meeting with Mitch. Because again, what? She doesn't want to be there when Hannah gets back home. Hell, I wouldn't either, because Hannah on her soapbox would be enough for me. So let's just, I'm with Candace. Get her before Saint Hannah gets back, because I can't deal with that shit. I really couldn't deal with that. Like, Hannah is a cussing saint. Well, let's move on. All right, guys, now let's move back over to the Criers. So Hannah asked one of the cops, will he walk her to her car? Because Derek is, boarding up the door. Well, he's actually changing the locks on the door. And once they get past the door threshold, she says, that's fine. So then she starts to walk to her car, and we also saw that David pulled up. So David is talking to Hannah. Hannah is ignoring David. Then he says, Hannah, do you hear me talk to you? She says, do you see me ignoring you? So he asks her, what's going on? And she tells him that is absolutely none of your business. He says, I've been friends with the Criers for years, so it is my business. I'm like, David, please go away. So, he tells her that you best tell me what's going on. I'm like, she best tell you what's going on, David? Oh, okay. She says, I don't work for you, and I don't work for you. He says, well, you work for Catherine, and, working for Catherine, you work for David as well. And I'm just like, oh, okay. She says, well, I don't work for Jim either. So, I might have said David. Working for Catherine, she works for Jim. She says, well, I don't work for Jim or you, so get the hell away from me. So he says, well, you know what? You should definitely call Jim and let him know what's going on. She said, I'm not calling him and telling him a damn thing. I'm like, okay, Anna. You remember I wouldn't either. After he made you call him Mr. Jim. I would never get over that. So over at the police station, how in the hell is that cop still alive? Uncle Vinny shot him in the head. I mean, unless it got lodged in his skull, how is he alive? That made no sense to me. Like, the man is still alive. Could they wheeling him out on the stretcher? I thought they was wheeling him out on the stretcher in a body bag, but nope. He's alive. So Uncle Vinny, he still wants to get Mama Rose out of the jail. And then there's a lady cop up there. She tells him the same thing that the other cop told him. You gotta wait till morning, a judge, all this stuff. Then Uncle Vinny asked her, is she suicidal? I'm like, so you just don't threaten a cop in a police station? You really are threatening a cop in a police station? Basically asking her if she wants to die. And who in their right mind would believe someone is suicidal and gonna shoot themselves in the head? Someone that's gonna commit suicide with a gun is gonna put it in their mouth. Retarded. Retarded as hell. Whatever. But another cop comes up and says nope, that she's not suicidal. And that, they'll talk to the police chief. So then, again, he wants to see, he wants Mama Rose. So then the cop go back to the cell where Mama Rose is, looking like, somebody, people have been saying this for weeks, and I finally just really kind of looked at it. Mama Rose in that recliner looks like Roseanne. So, he tells her that her boys are there. She's like, I figured. And she says, and he says, we're working really fast to get you out of here. She says, so what happened to that cop that, arrested me last night? He says he attempted suicide. I'm like, oh my God, you people are stupid. No one's going to believe that. No one. And she finds out that they have not called the police chief. She's like, why haven't you called the police chief? He says, because he gets mad when we call him after hours. She says, well, ask him how's his daughter Ashley. I know she's in college. And then Catherine's like, is that what you do to everybody? You just threaten and bully people? She says, yes. And I'm better at it than you. And Catherine says, oh, is that so? I'm loving the fact that Catherine is not necessarily afraid of Mama Rose, and she's just giving it back to her. Because Mama Rose asked her, how's your daughter? Oh, that's right, she committed suicide. And then that son of yours, he's dead. And Catherine was like, you touch him, and I'm going to show you who to be afraid of. I'm like, ooh, I'm loving that. Like I said, I'm just loving the fact that Catherine is just not afraid of Mama Rose. Like, stick it to the old woman. Stick it to her. Because Mama Rose was talking about, well, how about I put the girl that Wyatt killed, how about I put one of her family members in the cell with you? Catherine was like, girl, try me if you want to. You're going to regret that. I'm like, again, I'm just loving the fact, like I said, that Catherine is just not afraid of her. Shall we move on? All right, guys, so Benny, he calls Mitch. He tells Mitch that, I got to go let Candace in the crib, but once I do that, I'll be on over to see you. And then Sandy comes in. For Sandy to, be somebody that's, number one, racist, number two, supposed to be big and bad, the minute Uncle Vinny shoots somebody, he's cowering, he's whimpering. He's a kid. He shot a kid. I didn't know what to do. Well, Sandy, if you want to be a part of this lifestyle, you're going to have to get used to that. I think that. But even with, I was about to say, even Mitch is the same way, but no, Mitch is not. Mitch says he doesn't want to be a part of the lifestyle, but the minute that he needs help, he comes running to Mama Rose and Uncle Vinny. But okay. But yeah, Sandy, grow some balls. So, here's the thing that kind of like got me annoyed. Jeffrey, you guys remember, Jeffrey was going over to Madison's place because Psycho Justin was outside. When Jeffrey shows up, who's still outside? Jeffrey. Not Jeffrey, but Justin. I'm like, wow, so he's still there. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Why are you still here? The man went inside of his apartment, closed the door, and you're still sitting here. And then Justin is, trying to figure out why is Jeffrey there. That is none of your business. But Jeffrey says he's there to see his man. He says, oh, so you guys are together. I'm like, oh my God. And then Justin says, well, my brother came to visit me. He threatened me and I'm afraid for my life. He says, I've already lost you. I'm like, dude, you got a few screws loose. Because he says, then I'll be better. And Jeffrey's like, you never had me. Well, he had you in the sexual sense. So yeah. These three need to have a threesome and just get it the fuck over with at this point. That's all that needs to be done. So Madison comes and let Jeffrey in. They go inside. And once inside, they both realize that they both feel bad for Justin. And it's just like, oh, okay. I'm like, hey, he's still outside. You can go let him in and you three have sex. Because Madison and Jeffrey went to the bedroom. Jeffrey actually wants to sleep on the couch. Madison says, nope, you can come to the bed with me. Why don't y'all just go and open the door, telling Justin, come in. This can be a throuple. We can be polyamorous and move on with your jolly lives. That's all I got to say. Because this love triangle is, it's old. Especially with Justin. It's old. Let's move on. All right, you guys, let's talk about David. He called Jim up. And he tells Jim, I wasn't able to find out any information about what was taken. And, Jim was like, well, you tried, so thank you. And then, he tells him that Hannah was there. And she would not tell me anything as well. She's a bit of a bitch. I'm like, really, David? She's a bit of a bitch. You couldn't say she's a pain in the ass. She's a handful. She's a lot to deal with. She's a bit much. But you called her a bitch. You called her a bitch. You called her a bitch. Okay, David. Ain't you a little bit of a bitch to this man? You're his bitch. But whatever. So then Jim says, well, he needs help finding Wyatt. And David's like, oh, I got that. I'm on it. And, Jim was like, no, wait till the morning because, he can't pawn anything at this point. He won't be able to pawn anything until 10 a.m. That's what you think. So then we see Benny and Candace. So Benny goes and let Candace inside of the house. And he asks her where they're going to stay. She says, well, maybe we can go to a hotel. And Benny is still stuck on Derek. And he says he's meeting with Mitch. And he asks her, what did you tell, Mitch? For Mitch to say that, he got it handled. And, you gave him a little bit of information. She says, well, I told him what you think, that, it was David that raped Mama. So then, Hannah comes back. Because he asks, where is she at? One of them mentioned Hannah. She says, I'm here. And she's asking them once again, why are they there? She's on her soapbox about this $8 million. And I'm just like, oh my God. I just couldn't sit there. I'm sorry. I could not listen to sanctimonious Hannah. She is just so sanctimonious. But she cusses like a sailor. I mean, I'm not judging that part. I'm not judging any of it. I'm just judging her. Because she's so sanctimonious. But after Jim told me to call him Mr. Jim, I wouldn't be trying to. I would have told my kids, y'all take that fucking money. I don't give a fuck. Fuck him. But nope, she is just. You can't keep the man's money. The man just humiliated you, Hannah. But okay, maybe you like being humiliated. Maybe you like being humiliated by that racist ass white man. So she tells him to leave or she will call the cops on him. And I'm like, really, Hannah? You gonna call the cops on your kids? Your kids in this climate. I know they're not in the same climate they were in, but just putting, just saying, in this racial climate. I mean, don't even have to be this racial climate. The climate, period. You gonna call the cops on your kids, okay? And you got a black son, okay, Hannah. Okay. So while Hannah's on the phone with the cops, Benny asks her, did Derek rape her? And she looks at Candace like, you told him that? Candace's like, I ain't told him nothing. She says, so is this true? I'm like, Benny, you are really stupid. How can you not read between the lines? Obviously it happened. Look at their body language. Never mind, Benny is stupid. He's not Diamond. This is Benny. This is Benny. This is Benny. This is Benny. And Benny is retarded. Benny is slow. Benny's elevator don't reach the top floor. Benny's elevator don't ding. Benny's light bulb is dim. Like it's Benny. It's Benny. It's Benny. It's Benny, it's Benny, it's Benny. All right, so Candace tells Hannah that she didn't tell him anything. So then Candace tells Hannah also that she told Mitch to throw Benny off. And when I tell you he threw Benny off, we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. God, Benny is stupid. Let's move on. All right, you guys. Next up, we see Veronica. So Veronica is in bed with David. When I first saw this scene, I'm like, this has got to be a dream. Because, I mean, David in bed with Veronica, I mean, he just hit her. He tried to kill her. Not that good, by the way. But then, lo and behold, it was a dream because when she told him to spoon her, he whispered in her ear that he told her that he was in love with him. I'm like, yep, it's a dream. Let's move back over to the bar. Sandy. Again, grow some balls, homie. You are bitching out about the fact that Uncle Vinny shot the kid. He shot him. It's a done deal. He's not dead. So then Benny shows up, and you know, typical Sandy being racist, the black has to go. Why does he have to be the black? Now, and that's God, the black. So then, you know, Mitch tells Benny that Derek is not his guy. He shows him this, shows him some a criminal record on his phone. The only thing that they did, I think, was change the last name of Derek. I'm like, oh my God, Benny is really stupid. But you know what? He believes it. So then Mama Rose and Uncle Vinny and the rest of the family show up, and they just looking Benny up and down like, can y'all not be so overt with your racism? Like, at least try to hide your racism. But I mean, I guess they don't really give a fuck, huh? So Mama Rose, you know, she talks to Mitch. She asks Mitch, does he want to be a part of the family now? He says no. She says, okay, well, you gotta go. So when he leaves, she asks Sandy, why did he leave? Vinny says he folded, which he so did fold. And she says, okay, well, I'm going to go down to Florida with your uncle, and I'm leaving Vinny in charge. I'm like, what? You leaving that loose screw in charge? That loose cannon? He just, well, I mean, I guess she's proud of that. The fact that he just shot a man in the jailhouse, and I mean, not one person did anything, but if it was a black person, there would have been target practice all over that police precinct. But whatever. And then she also tells him about Catherine, the fact that Catherine told her that when Uncle Vinny got stabbed, that they paid him $75,000 to let Wyatt go. He says 50. I don't remember. To be quite honest with you guys. But she says that she told Catherine that she wants $1 million. And now what they need to do is they need to kidnap Wyatt and keep him until she gets her money. And then speaking of Wyatt, this goddamn crackhead, he goes to try to score some heroin with the jewelry that he stole of Catherine's. Now, the person he was trying to sell the drugs to, he had another guy looking at the jewelry. The dude said the jewelry is cheap. I'm like, really? How do you know the jewelry is cheap? Are you a jeweler? Like, come on. Talking about it's cheap. It could be. But I don't think Catherine wears cheap jewelry. So, yeah. Now, here's the thing that threw me for a loop. Wyatt is just patting it down, the guy, just touching the guy for some drugs. I'm like, this is not a real drug transaction, because if this was a real drug transaction, ain't no drug dealer finna sit here and let no crackhead pat them down without shooting their ass or beating the shit out of their ass. Because this dude talking about, bruh. Nigga, hit him, shoot him, whatever you gotta do. Cause I mean, I don't know no drug dealer's gonna let somebody just do that. Just keep grabbing, trying to find the drugs on them. So stupid. But then some girl comes up and she sells to Wyatt. She takes the ring, and Wyatt was about to shoot her right in the car. She says, dude, not right here. So he tells her he gets out of the car, he tells her to drive the car. I'm like, really? You don't know this woman, so she could rob you, she could kill you and throw you in a ditch, and you letting her drive the car. You know what? Wyatt deserves whatever the fuck he gets, to be quite honest with you. He deserves whatever the hell he gets. Let's move on. All right, guys, and then closing the episode out, we see Candace, so she's all packed up. Benny's in the living room. He's asking her where she's going to go. She says she thinks she might go to Atlanta. And then they have a back and forth with each other. I really wasn't listening, to keep it real with you. So then they go outside. I thought it was the cops that Hannah called, but it wasn't. It was actually Derek that pulled up. And Benny has asked her, like, what you doing here? He says, is your mom here? I would like to talk to her. He says, nah, she ain't here. So Candace and him have a conversation. Derek tells Candace that, you know, when he raped Hannah, that he was a teenager with a drug problem. Does that make up for it? No, it does not. Candace tells him goodbye, that she's leaving. And then to wrap this episode up, Sandy and Vinny. So, you know, they're talking about how, you know, one, Sandy got to get some thick ass skin if he's going to be in the family. Two, things are going to change differently going forward. I'm like, oh shit, that ain't good. And then while they're talking, who walks into the bar? Wyatt's dumbass. I'm like, you got to be the dumbest motherfucker on the face of the earth. You and Benny, Benny, Barry from the Oval, y'all three got to be the dumbest motherfuckers on the earth. What the fuck? You just stabbed this dude in this bar, and you walking back into the bar. I cannot. But that's gonna wrap it up, you guys. That was the haves and I'm about to say that's the oval. That's the haves and have-nots. Be sure to like this video, leave your comments, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification button so you guys are aware of when I drop anything else. Share this video, and until the next one, you guys, do me a solid favor out there. Stay safe, take care of yourselves, stay hydrated, and I will see you guys in the next one. When is that? Today is Wednesday, isn't it? Yeah, I'm filming this before I go to work. It's Wednesday, but I'll see you guys later. Peace out.